Welcome back, listeners. Today we have a double treat with what I call a dual licensed professional, CPA and a CFP, Prudence Zhu, who is a fee-only financial planner and the founder of Baoba USA Tax and Financial Coaching, as well as ENSO Financial Planning, Investment Management, and Tax Planning. She specializes in helping couples navigate their finances, financial decisions, improve their communication so that they can achieve everyone's goal of long-term financial success. She is originally from China, which I'm sure will come into our conversation. It's interesting how she was able to move to the United States with little more than a suitcase, and within 9 years, she achieved financial independence. Very impressive, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that story. Then she transitioned from corporate finance to entrepreneurship, where she has now her two practices, focused really on helping people align their finances with their values so they can build fulfilling lives and strong relationships. And a big part of our conversation today is what should help everyone, couples or past couples or future couples or individuals or those of us with aging parents. She's also an author, and the book is called The Power of Us, Transforming Your Relationships and Money. So really looking at understanding the emotional side of money and how that can transform into financial success for lasting long-term success. Thank you so much, Prudence, for joining me today.
Thank you. This is a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Anyone who writes a book is obviously inspired, and I think anytime I read something, most of our listeners probably feel the same way. They wonder, okay, why did he or she write this book? And then we always assume there's some, personal story in there that led you to it, and usually that impacted your content. So, what would you say inspired you to write your recent book?
Yeah, it's really the realization that actually financial disagreement or conflict or stress is not about the money. Because in 2021, I achieved my financial freedom goal. And then I started this journey of, discovering where my next phase is. And I want to call it like once you have financial freedom, you work on emotional freedom, which was basically me. And I realized that actually a lot of the secret sauce to financial success is actually open communication with the ones you care about. Most likely, spouse and parents or even adult kids. So that's why I am really passionate about this topic and for also firsthand witnessing how my clients and as well as some of my followers and audience struggle on both fronts, like emotional communication and also financial stress. And that's why I wanted to put this out there. And I also want to mention, like, end of last year, beginning this year, I started a group coaching program on couples and money. And that program really received wonderful result. Financial awareness, financial confidence, and decrease of financial stress. So that's why I really want to like share this exciting discovery and also the tools with everybody.
That's awesome. That makes so much sense. When we're couples, we each bring what they call baggage, right, to the relationship, which those of us in the industry recognize that's usually from childhood and from previous relationships. But one thing I found as well interesting about your book is that it's relationships in general. Even you had some really good stories and examples of your relationship with your mother and how so much of this applied from the emotional money side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story was m me and my mom was kind of very different. Like her grew up with scarcity, Cultural Revolution, Great Famine in the early 60s in China. And she has been a great worker and entrepreneur really throughout her life. And surprisingly, now they have more than enough, but they're still trapped in that mindset of saving, making more, still fighting about, differences in dollar amounts and small dollar amounts. And that to me was perplexing. And uh, through the book, I felt like I had more skills in communication and understanding where she comes from and try to help her understand what could be different and what could be even more enjoyable and have a better life. And it was really big progress between me and her relationship, as well as, now she's making progress in traveling more and being okay with spending more and all that. Yeah, so definitely.
I think it's interesting how anytime somebody thinks of personal finance, they're kind of stuck on the numbers side. And yet, I think a key message in your book is that you can't really make progress on the financial success side until you are acknowledging the emotional uh, connection on the money side.
That's true. And the I want to say like the producing side of the world, like the consumerism, know this already. Because if you look at the advertisement, it's not about the function of the product. It's all about, love, bonding, prestige, and it's emotional experience that people want to have. Yet on financial planning, we don't pay so much attention on the emotional side, but most of our financial decisions are actually driven by emotions.
Right. And that's the whole soft side of finances that, when we're going through training seems to be not usually acknowledged or focused on. It's all the numbers, numbers, numbers. I know on
Yeah.
my website, I finally developed a questionnaire, a survey, just for people to stop and think about their childhood impact and their past relationships impact. Because I do agree that emotional connection side it helps especially women, I think, overcome the guilt, feeling of guilt, because a lot of times it was, you were imprinted and you had no power over how you were imprinted. You can change going forward, but how you got to today, sometimes, you didn't have much control over. But so how would you say couples in particular can really focus on creating those healthy money conversations, especially now, you're coming from another country. So whether couples are coming from other cultures or even just different money backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it really starts with, knowing or feeling what the other person is feeling. I think even before that, it's like for some people, especially, I don't want to put us into boxes, but typically, I see men do it more often, like they want to solve the problem instead of understanding what's behind the problem. So in my book, I have an exercise. First of all, you set time aside. It's undisrupted time, it's dedicated time, where you start with syncing your breathing. And that's a very fast way to be present and to be available and to be more in tune with your partner. And then we start with those open communication that, you talk through your emotions and without judgment. And then that really creates a very safe space for people to really go deeper into the things you mentioned, like the guilt, the shame, the regret and the fear a lot of times, insecurity, all that.
I love your exercises. In your book, you give people something concrete to do because I think, like you say, the knowing, the even understanding where each other is coming from, same culture or otherwise, just the whole how did you grow up feeling about money or valuing money? That doesn't just come up in everyday conversation.
No, no. I think it actually takes a lot of work. For me, for example, I read a lot into, psychology and even went to Shadow's workshop and I got my certification in registered life planning, and that's pretty much focused on how to understand and listen and be present with your client, and also how to pay attention to their energy and try to amplify their energy so that they take action to make real lasting changes. It's wonderful.
Is it the Kinder Institute for Life
Yes,
Planning?
yes.
I've heard nothing but fabulous information about how really that helps us as professionals to help people pull their, we do a 360, I always call it on the financial side. right? The investments, the income and tax planning, the estate planning, the risk management, et cetera. But there's so
Mhm.
much more than just the financial 360.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've trained through, the CFP route where we look at the different aspects, most likely technical side of optimizing everything, and that's all great. However, like a lot of people would say, you need to know where you put the letter. Once you have the letter, what if you are putting it against the wrong wall, then you won't get to where you want to be.
Right. So that brings the soft side. And anytime you're thinking about a couple, they're acknowledging that they're a couple because they're in love. So
Mhm.
how would you say love is really involved in the whole financial planning aspect, or how do we keep that in mind that that's why we need to have communication?
Yeah, this I really see love is the foundation of the deeper connection, open communication, as well as aligned financial decision making and supporting each other in realizing each other's goals. And actually, my first chapter is all about love. Love as the foundation for everything.
Mhm.
It's the foundation for the relationship. It's the foundation for future financial success and a wonderful life, a fulfilling life. So I think a lot of times when we talk about budget or spending, or use how come you spend so much on shopping, or how come you spend so much on, coffee, we forget like actually at the end of the day, what we want is universal, like safety, security, love, and feeling support and heard. And that really should be the starting point and also the grounding the where you get yourself grounded once you are in a conflict, and that's the starting point for everything.
Mhm. That's one thing I think that's really unique about your book is that it isn't just educating, it's then drawing the reader in with their partner, whether it's, a parent or a spouse or a significant other, to actually do the talking, reflecting, being present, listening.
Yeah.
So that's extremely helpful. Too many times we read a book and love everything and even take notes, and then nothing happens.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that people get something out of the book, and really that focus is on understanding and action. And the beautiful thing is that, so if you're a couple, you don't have to both read the book. So what I say is that as long as one person read the book and do the exercise with the other partner, then it's up to the other partner to decide if they want to read the book. If they see great benefits from just doing the exercise alone, they might be more interested in knowing more about your side of the story, the details of financial planning and
That's a
budgeting
great
and all
point.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're talking about your new book, The Power of Us, Transforming Your Relationships and Money. And I'm sure over the years with your coaching and the individual practice, you have seen a lot of what I know there's some stories and examples in the book that really help your readers relate to what you've seen and why you're saying that these are the ways to move forward successfully. But how about some common financial mistakes that you see couples making, and how can they hopefully turn those mistakes around to be opportunities for long-term growth instead?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one I want to say is the lack of communication or miscommunication.
Mm.
So case in point, like the other day, my husband was like, oh, because I've been on my entrepreneurship journey for 2 years, and he's like, "Oh, when are you going to make a profit? When are you going to restart your contribution to your retirement account?" And I was like, "Oh, like I thought we talked about this, and why all of a sudden there's the question again?" So we kind of wasted a little bit of our time, like going down the wrong path. But the good thing is that I had to take my kids to the gym lesson. So we both took a break, and then over the weekend, we probably both thought about it. And then on Monday, he dropped the kids off, came back, and we have a real conversation with real honesty and support and open communication for each other. And now we're like aligned and working towards the same goal. Isn't that beautiful?
Absolutely. And like you said, no matter what the mistake really is, it seems like we almost come back to the same answer of communication, but that forced pause to not just explode and think and digest and come back, just like your exercises, really. The whole sync your breathing, I think is really a wise practice for ear readers to take advantage of way after they're done reading the book. So
Yeah,
great
yeah.
job
And
on
I
sharing.
want to highlight that it's not just breathing. It sounds like very simple to do, but it's
Mm.
really an experience. It's more like rewiring your experience and rewiring your brain towards positive experience about money and rather than fighting over money or stressed over money. And then the other thing, just back to the question, what are the common mistakes? I want to say is the shared vision or the shared goal. So back to the same story about me and my husband. So basically, we have this grand plan of living in Hong Kong for a year because my kids are young. It's perfect time for them to be exposed to a different culture and learn more Mandarin. That's my mother tongue.
Mm.
And for me, it it's a lot of fear and uncertainty because I want to keep growing my business, and I know that if I live in Hong Kong, I would be basically working on night shift for the entire year.
Oh,
And yeah,
time
so
zone. Mm.
yeah, I mean, but he, on the other hand, he was like so excited. He was thrilled and he's really looking forward to it. And he thought it was a no-brainer for me because I would be closer
Mm.
to my home. Like my family are still in mainland China. But he didn't realize like all my fear and uncertainty and all that. But then we had this shared vision where we both are looking to make it happen because this is a shared goal that we want experience for our kids, for our family, and grow no matter what. And he also gained understanding because I was honest about my fear and my doubt, and he was being understandable and being supportive. So yeah,
That's an awesome acknowledgement of, no matter what the mistakes are, if you can come back to starting with the shared vision, the thing that you have in common, and move forward from there. Because, everyone's perception is their reality,
yeah,
no matter what
absolutely,
it is we're talking about. So until you hear the other one's perception, there's that communicating again. You can't move forward in reality until you know what each other's reality is. So great
absolutely,
advice.
yes,
Great
yes.
advice. So I'm curious if, financial planning technology wise certainly has evolved over the years. And if you're seeing any trends with couples or with aging parents. I think a lot of your communication and skills and even exercises in your book, The Power of Us, is applicable to both groups. So any evolving trends that you see or things that couples in particular should be aware of as they navigate forward for a successful financial life?
Yeah, so everybody's talking about AI these days, right? And I
Mm.
definitely use AI as well. I think this is more applicable to, our generation, less so for my parents' generation. But definitely I see, the huge benefit of getting clarity and easy access to credible information, especially if you're using Perplexity. So that's a AI tool where they actually cite where the source of the information is from, so they are less likely to hallucinate
Sure.
and make up stories or things. So I think the technical side is going to be a lot more accessible, even without the help of a financial planner or a professional. But the emotional side and the communication and the work is less replaceable. So all the more important to focus on, the communication, shared vision, and taking actions and get motivated and support each other.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think the technology side is just going to accelerate the efficiency of the process, the learning, the actions, but the whole human side of it still will most benefit from human interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. So from my professional side, like I couldn't tell my clients what to do. I can tell them what's the technically best optimal way to do it, but that doesn't mean they have to do it that way, right?
Mhm.
And they are the expert in their own life. They know out of all people in this world what they want and what they get the energy from. So the important thing is that we use the financial planning and all the resources to support that dream so that they can live their best lives.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, you do have two businesses, and I know I mentioned Tax is included in one of them, and financial planning or financial coaching is also a distinction between the two. So, if our listeners want to learn more about your services and your book, where should they go?
Yeah, so my book has its own dedicated website. It's investwithprudence.com. And I also have a YouTube channel with the same name, Invest with Prudence. And yeah, I want to say like first get a copy of the book or pre-order the book so that you know what it's possible. Like a lot of times people think, even my own clients, before they come to me and they feel like you said, they feel shame, they feel insecurity, they feel like they are not ready for a professional, and the book would be at the middle ground so that you know what you can do or what you need to bridge the gap so that you can then, know what you want and then get help from professionals if you decide that's the right route.
Great. I agree. That's an awesome. It's a workbook format really with a lot of concrete information and exercises. So great starting point. So hope our listeners will check in the show notes and get the links to all of what Prudence has to offer. And thank you so much, Prudence, for what you are sharing with the world. You are surely making a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.